What's up everybody, how's it going out there? In this video I'm going to end up making some Hawaiian barbecue. It's my version of it. I think everybody's got their own version of it. My wife just got back from a funeral in Hawaii, so I thought it would be appropriate to make stuff that she's been eating the whole time while she was there. Actually, that's not true. She did just get back from a funeral but in Hawaii, but I don't think she was eating Hawaiian barbecue. So this is basically done in a couple of steps. A lot of times when you're doing barbecue, it's done in 2 to 3 steps. And the more of these steps you do, usually the better the barbecue is. So the very first thing that you're going to end up doing is you're going to select the type of chicken or whatever that you're going to end up using. And in this case, I'm going to be using a combination of pork and chicken. The chicken at the store was kind of expensive compared to normal. So I ended up just getting some legs and thighs, and I'm going to call it good. But basically, we're going to end up throwing these guys inside there. I've got 3 of them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of soak this stuff. Well, we're not we are going to do it. So I'm going to end up putting some salt. This is basically going to be kind of like a brine. And it's going to look like I'm putting a lot of salt, which I am, but trust me, this is not going to make the chicken salty at all. From here, we're going to end up adding a little bit of garlic powder to this, not garlic salt. There is a difference, but we are going to be adding that. Maybe something along those lines will probably be fine. We're going to be adding onion powder. Once again, this is not onion salt. This is going to be an onion powder. Okay. And this, we are going to be adding more onion than garlic. Okay, so we got that in there. I'm going to be adding a touch of cumin. This is powdered ginger. We're going to be putting more ginger in a little bit later. Now this is going to be a little something, like I said, this is going to be like my version of it. So I'm putting just a little bit of chipotle in there. And for those of you that don't know, chipotle is nothing more than just a jalapeno that's been smoked. We're going to be putting black pepper in this. And a lot of this stuff I can't have. Onions, garlic, black pepper, I can't have any of this stuff. Okay, but my wife and my nephew can, so I'm going to put it in here to add to all this. And this is not really meant to flavor the chicken a lot. It's meant to basically put some of this flavor within the meat of the chicken, right? So we're not trying to get the outside doctored. We're trying to get this to kind of get into the inside, and the salt is going to be the thing that helps us carry it there. Now I've got the faucet on, and I'm letting it get to hot water, basically coming out of it. This is sugar, just regular granulated sugar I'm putting inside there. So this is warm water, and I'm using warm so this stuff will dissolve a lot quicker. If you want to, you can put a bay leaf in this. If you want to, you can put cayenne pepper in this. If you want to, you can put red pepper flakes in this, just like I did. And we basically want to stir this up until we know everything is for the most part dissolved in here. Okay. And now anything that we want to kind of inject the flavor into the meat, we're going to go ahead and start stacking it inside of here. And we can always add water later if this isn't going to be enough to cover everything. This particular brine, it's really hard to over salt it. You know, it's almost like the more salt the better, because the meat can only hold on to so much salt. So, you know, that's kind of that. So in this case, I'm also going to be putting inside here a couple pieces of pork. Okay, so and this chicken and this meat were still cold. That's why I didn't mind putting it into the warm water. because it's going to end up equaling out. It's going to end up kind of cooling off. And really, when you're barbecuing, and this is something I've been saying for a long time, when you're barbecuing, you want that meat, you want that to be at room temperature. You don't want it to be frozen. That's a mistake a lot of people make, and that's why the chicken bone and stuff is always raw and stuff around the inside, but the outside is burnt. When everything's room temperature, it cooks a lot more even. So with that being done, we're going to put this to the side and let it set for at least 3 hours, at least. And then from there, we can go ahead and start getting this ready. If you want to let this set overnight, that's even better. Now we're going to end up making our sauce. This is going to be the barbecue sauce that we're going to put on right near the end of the cooking. Okay, and before we actually end up putting it on the grill, we're also going to put a little bit of what's called a dry rub on there. Okay, so what I've got here, what I'm opening up, let me shake it up real good, is just a pineapple coconut juice. Okay, we're going to pour some of that in here. And you're going to notice that I'm not going to be overly cautious about exactly how much I put inside here. Okay. I'm going to be putting some brown sugar inside here, okay, because we do want this to be sweet. That's probably good. Here's a little bit of garlic powder. I'm not going to be putting too much in here around the outside of it because it'll be overkill. Put a little bit of onion powder, but the onion powder, there's going to be more of that than the garlic for sure. Here's some soy sauce. Here's some minced ginger. We're going to be using some ketchup. We're going to be putting some ketchup inside here. This is organic. It doesn't have to be organic, but there we go. And then for my pineapple juice, I'm going to be using just generic pineapple chunks that's in pineapple juice. Black pepper. Touch of apple cider vinegar. We're going to stir this all up. After we stir it up, this lovely nasty looking stuff, we're going to end up putting it in a pan, and we are going to cook this, and we are going to reduce this until it basically becomes like a syrup. So I have this on basically a medium-low heat, and I don't want to burn this stuff, you know. I just want to kind of get it to basically start simmering, keep stirring it until basically it becomes thick like a syrup, and that's going to be like our glazing. Okay, so that's ultimately the point behind this. And I'm going to wait for a couple minutes, and after it looks like this is simmered a little bit, and then some of these pieces of ginger and stuff have dissolved, is when there'll be a taste test, which I have to be very careful of since I can't have a lot of the stuff that's in here. I got to be really careful. So I'm stirring this, and I'm smelling it. It smells really good to me. But keep in mind that when we taste this here in a second, I'm going to start steaming. Whatever flavor that we get, when it starts kind of condensing, when it starts like basically boiling down to a thicker consistency, the flavors are going to intensify. Okay, so if it's really strong here, it might be too strong when it becomes a syrup. So kind of keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and we're just going to let this continue heating up, and it's getting there. I'm starting to feel heat and a little bit of steam off of here, but this is going to be a slow going process because of all the sugars. If we try to speed it up, we might burn the sugars and it might kind of give a nasty taste. Let this go ahead and condense, basically doing exactly what it's doing here, simmering. And this is probably going to take about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's okay, we got plenty of time because we still have to wait for the chicken and everything to marinate and set inside the brine. So now we're going to make the dry rub, and I'm just going to do it in a cup because I'm not going to really need that much. And I rarely measure anything. I do it by how it looks. Okay, but we got our brown sugar inside here. I don't need that anymore. Okay. We have our garlic powder. We're going to be putting our onion powder in here. We'll make sure that there's more onion and garlic. This is going to start looking real familiar because this is going to be a lot of the same seasonings that we use when we're making like a Mexican seasoning, like a taco seasoning or a burrito seasoning. This right here is just paprika. I'm going to put some more in there. Here's some regular chili powder, but you're going to see that the amounts that I use are going to be a lot different. Here's some cumin. Put some more paprika in here since I ran out. And I always end up getting this, it's not really generic brand, but I always get this. This stuff is on the end caps. It's like $1. I don't know why you'd spend $5 for like a little bottle when you can get a big container of this. Black pepper. Now if we want to, we can just go ahead and take this and we can put a piece of saran wrap on top of it and shake it up. That'll work. Okay, I'm just going to use a spoon and kind of mix all this stuff together. You can always add whatever you want to your dry rub. You know, everybody's got their own little secret ingredients and stuff, and also different ratios. That's also one of the reasons why I rarely tell anybody measurements, because it's like, it's a matter of taste, you know. I mean, sometimes you have to put a lot of something in there if you want it to taste a certain way, you know, but this whole half a cup, quarter cup, and all that, it's based on taste. And after you make it a few times, you'll know exactly how much you should put in of whatever. See, that's not too shabby. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could put a little bit of ground ginger in here, because I do like putting ground ginger in my dry rubs. It's something that a lot of people don't do, but it does add a little something. So now we're just going to wait for the syrup to basically end up, or the sauce, if you will, to boil down. When that's done, and I know that the chicken and the pork have rested long enough in the brine, we're good to go. Okay, so I've got the grill going, and it's been a while. I've reduced the sauce a little bit, probably by about half. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the chicken and the pork out, and we're just going to give it a quick rinse, and then we're going to dry it off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pat dry these pieces of chicken and pork, pretty much just like this. It doesn't have to be super dry, just pat dry. And then we're going to put our dry rub on. The dry rub is one of those things that some people have got different techniques for it. You know, some people say you got to get in there and you got to massage it. Some people say you got to peel up the skin and you got to throw some under the skin. You know, you got to do stuff like this. And everybody's right, because it all works really well. But you definitely want to put enough on here so every piece has a nice big piece of fat right there. But you want to definitely cover it so everything that you bite into has got some of it. Okay. And whatever's left over, I'm just going to end up taking this and just kind of sprinkling it. The moisture and everything is going to end up breaking it down and kind of turning it into a syrup and everything, but not a whole lot left, so we might as well just get rid of all of this stuff and make a decent barbecue pork too, huh? But this is pretty much what's going to end up happening. So we take this and leave that on there, and then when this is ready, the fire is ready, we're going to slap this on there. Like always, I always end up using the chimney, and I always use hardwood charcoal. I don't use the briquettes. Briquettes are made out of sawdust and corn and wheat and all sorts of stuff that they just compress, and it's not the same. It doesn't give you the same flavor. It burns different, all sorts of stuff. I definitely recommend this stuff anytime that you can use it. And also, when you're using it like this and you're using a chimney, you don't have to use lighter fluid, right? And it just works better. This is definitely the way to go, guys. Now, ordinarily when I'm cooking on the grill, I don't open up the vents on the bottom, but this is going to be like a combination of grilling and baking and all sorts of stuff. And depending on what happens, I might actually have to remove these and then put them like in a casserole dish or something and then bake them, because we have a lot of sugar on here. There's some fats because we're dealing with thigh muscle and stuff like that. This is a non-adjustable grill where I can't adjust the height of this in order to adjust the heat. Last thing I want to do is turn this into burnt chicken, right? Like 1970s song, burnt chicken, burnt chicken, burnt chicken. Last thing I want is to do that. So I've got this on here. I mean, just putting my hand here, I can feel the heat. I mean, this is really hot. It's probably about 425 from where my hand is alone. So this is how I'm going to do it, is I'm going to take the meat, put it on here, and cover it with a lid. And basically about every 5 minutes, take the lid off, flip it over. I'm going to be trying to starve it of oxygen. And by doing that, I should be able to make this where it doesn't really want to turn the outside of the chicken black. So right here I've got my apple wood, and I'm going to be putting this in at different times. And like I said, this is wet. This is really hot. Just getting my hand that fucking close is burning the shit out of me. But by doing this, I'll be able to put some of that applewood smoke flavor into this chicken. I should be able to get the rest of this stuff down with my tongs. This thing feels like it's 500 degrees. But let's go ahead and throw our pork down first. It's thin, it'll cook quick. Then I have enough room. We're going to put the chicken, we're going to put the skin side down first. Like that. We have a little bit of this juice left. Okay, now before that becomes an inferno, we're going to cover it. And I've got just a little bit of air that's able to circulate. We're also, I'm in high wind today. I wouldn't say high wind, but I've got a pretty good gust. It's going to be sucking air this direction, causing a vacuum, sucking air from the bottom, so it'll keep it warm. But I'm trying to prevent this from flaming up. About every 5 minutes, I'm going to turn that chicken, and every time that I do, depending on what the temperature is of the coals, it's going to determine whether I'm going to keep the lid off a little while for it to build up some heat again, and then I'll put the lid back on. So that's how I'm going to control the flame. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'll take the lid off, I'll do the flips, and we're going to keep doing that. It might take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour of doing that for this to be finished. So I've got some pretty good smoke coming out of there. Some of that's from the sugars and the fats, but that's mostly from the apple wood, and I can tell because if I go this side of it and I smell it, it's like, yeah, that's wood. I mean, I can definitely smell a little bit of chicken too, you know, and fat and stuff like I said, but it's that apple wood. So that's good, because we're going to probably do that in a few stages. That way we can get that hefty smoke flavor in there. It's only been about 3 minutes out here, but it smells incredible. And those thin pieces of pork, I'm going to have to turn those probably right now. So we're going to take this. Yeah, see, these guys have already bubbled up pretty good. Okay. Judging by the amount of heat that I'm feeling here, I'm going to leave the lid off for maybe about 5 minutes. We're going to let that oxygen get back inside here. It's already starting to get hot again. Okay, but we're going to let that oxygen get back inside there, let that temperature get back up, and then as soon as it does, we'll put the lid back on it. By that time, it'll probably be time to flip these pieces of chicken over, and I might have to increase the amount of airflow yet, because right here, whew, there's some heat right there. Not a lot right there though. I don't even bother using the whole basting brush and stuff when it's small like this. I just take it, dip it, then we're good. And if you have a big enough grill, try to flip it in a spot that it has not already been in. That is how I would have preferred to see it. But there's a lot of heat coming here from the center. Put the lid back on, and I'm going to open these vents more. And I'm going to give that about 3 minutes or so, and then check the pork. So the pork is probably just about done, which is good because then I'll have more room for the chicken. Okay, but so far so good. Let me look at this. I want to make sure that it's completely cooked. It looks like it is. Okay, so okay, that's good. And just like all meat, you let this set for a few minutes before you start cutting into it. So that's done, and now what we can do is we can take this chicken, take it out of the hot center of the grill here, and kind of even up some of this heat. So it's been probably about 45 minutes or so, and then about 5 minutes ago I went ahead and I started dipping them in the wet sauce. And right now it smells like marshmallows out here, honestly. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take a look at them, give them a flip. That looks pretty good. Actually, I'm gonna leave it like that. I am going to leave it like that for maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, and then pull them off, let them rest for about 5 minutes, and then they should be good to go. Smells like marshmallows, huh?
A little bit.
Okay, so everything is off the grill. I put this in the oven so it's still a little warm. And then some of the extra sauce, I went ahead and I just started heating it up and, on the stove until it became a little thicker, and then poured it on here. You know, obviously you let the stuff set for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then from there you would dig in or whatever. In this case, I'm just going to let my nephew, this is cooler than that one, so yeah, and that's pork. And then tell me what you think.
I honestly don't even, it's like melting right off the fucking bone. Look at that. That's hella bomb.
Is it spicy?
I don't taste spiciness.
Is it sweet?
Mm-hmm.
Like overly sweet, or?
No. It's not overly sweet. It's like, hold on, like.
Do you taste any pineapple or coconut in there?
That bite was a little, I can taste the chipotle, but like, I taste the pineapple in there.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's mine. I'm just gonna slam this. Cause
Yeah, well, I mean, this is all yours and Lori's. I can't have any of it. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, you guys can fight over it.
Damn. Yeah, this is really fucking good.
And it's like cheap pork, too. And then if you want to cut into that chicken there, too, and try that one. And then my dog's looking at me. She's like, where's mine? But she can't have any because of garlic and stuff.
Just get all in there.
It's pretty tender.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even have to cut hard at all.
That's going to be boiling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you did that without blowing on it first.
I can taste pineapple a lot in the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But the chicken is really fucking good too.
Does the meat, can you taste like flavor all the way through the meat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I did it right. Yeah, to me it almost smells like burnt, like marshmallows.
I don't smell that.
Yeah, well, your nose is stuffy too.
Yeah.
But like when I was out there, I was like, it smelled like marshmallows. It smells pretty damn good. I mean, I tasted a little bit of the wet sauce and everything, and I was like, that's not too shabby. But like I tasted the chipotle, and I was like, well, it's a little spicy. I don't know if it's gonna be too spicy for you guys. But anyway, that is that. That's how I do my Hawaiian BBQ. And you know, you ain't got to go out and buy a bunch of different sauces and all that other stuff. You make your stuff at home. People need to start doing that instead of just buying like these packages and these bottles. That, you know, there's the stuff that's in there most of the time is just like, you know, corn syrup and, you know, food coloring and preservatives, and it's not even like legit. But this is pretty good. And obviously you end up making it to however you want to make it. So if you want this to have more onion, more garlic, more whatever, more power to you. Ain't gonna hurt my feelings. So anyway, guys, that is that. And until next time, I will talk at you later.